Many people travel to the US after receiving a job offer. These people must obtain an H-type visa before entering. This visa is a kind of temporary work permit for professionals and non-professionals and is divided into several categories. Hi, this is Max from the Visa Library. In this video, I will discuss the H2B visa, how to apply for it, the essential documents that you must provide, and the documents that your employer must provide, and other details. If you haven't subscribed to our channel, do it right now. If you subscribe, I will give you a free cheat sheet about this visa at the end of the video. Also, we publish 3 new videos every week, so be sure to subscribe. Like the video too, and let us start. What is the US H2B visa? This visa is a work permit for temporary workers in fields other than agriculture. The US government allows employers to hire foreign workers if they cannot find proper US workers. Annually, only 66,000 visas are issued for H2B visas. In other words, there is a cap for H2B visas. From October 1st to March 31st, 33,000 H2B permits will be given, and from April 1st to September 30th, another 33,000 visas will be issued. If in the first part of the year not all 33,000 visas are granted, the rest will be given in the second part. However, if the yearly cap is not completed, the difference is not considered for the next year. What industries are eligible for the US H2B visa? These industries are hospitality, cruise ships, resorts and theme parks, water parks, ski resorts, restaurants and bars. What else? Construction, landscaping, golf courses, warehouses, maintenance, and janitorial, retail stores, and sports. Yeah, that's it. 4 temporary job opportunities are eligible for this visa. Number 1, one-time occurrence. It is for an employer who has never hired someone for the job and does not intend to do it again in the future but requires someone right now. Number 2, seasonal need. In some circumstances, there is a demand because the industry has a cycle of seasonality, but not because of unpredictability or because permanent employees are not rest. Number 3, peak load need. It is for an employer who needs to hire temporary workers due to increased short-term demands. Number 4, intermittent need. In some job situations, the employer does not hire a permanent workforce, but always hires temporary staff for short-term periods. What are the eligibility conditions for the US H2B visa? The employer must take the first step. To be able to hire a foreign worker, H2B visa sponsors or employers must: Number 1, prove that he or she has searched the US market for appropriate workers. Number 2, indicate that hiring a foreign worker will not harm working conditions in the US. Number 3, hire foreigners for temporary jobs. In addition, the employer must also consider conditions to obtain a temporary labor certificate by the US Department of Labor. Number 1, if the worker has to travel long distances to get work, the employer must provide transportation for the employees. Otherwise, the employer must pay the costs at the end of the contract. Number 2, employers must supply 3 meals per day for the duration of the contract. Otherwise, the employer must provide facilities for cooking. Number 3, a foreign worker must receive a fair wage equal to an American worker. On the other hand, foreign workers must, number 1, have a job offer from an employer in the US. Number 2, provide that they do not intend to reside permanently in the US. Number 3, demonstrate that they have adequate skills for the job position offered. One thing, not all nationalities are eligible for this visa. The Department of Homeland Security issues a list of authorized countries. The list is updated annually and employers can request to add other countries to the list. If the employer intends to hire a foreign worker from a country whose name is not on the list, certain documents must be submitted by the employer. The employer must, number 1, provide a written request to the Department of Homeland Security. 2, provide identity documents related to the foreign worker. 3, show that hiring this worker has particular benefits for the U.S. The DSH will then examine the request and make a decision. If employers are employing foreign workers, it is recommended to present 2 petitions to make processing faster. You can go to our article and see the list of those countries that are eligible now. Link is in the description. How to apply for the US H2B visa. Let's look at the steps that the employer must take. The employer must first obtain a temporary labor certification from the US Department of Labor. Obtaining this certificate is essential for all employers who intend to hire foreign workers. The employer must provide, number 1, Form ETA-9155. It must be registered no less than 120 days and no more than 150 days before the worker is needed. Number 2, Form ETA-9141. Number 3, Form ETA-9142. The employer must prove that the visa applicant will be hired for a temporary job position. The employers must also demonstrate that he or she has not been able to find a qualified or eager workforce in the US. They have to publish job advertisements to prove that they have tried to find a US worker. Job ads must be published in the newspaper for 3 consecutive days, and the job offer must be open to US employees for up to 21 days. The employer must send the documentation related to the recruiting attempts to be eligible for the certification. If the DOL gives approval, the temporary labor certification is valid for 3 years. Then the employer can initiate the H2B visa application process. In the next step, a petition should be filed to the USCIS or United States Citizen and Immigration Services. Between 45 days to 6 months before the employees are needed, Form I-129 has to be completed by the employer. Distinct requests must be made for each employee and they cannot be transferred to other employees. If USCIS approves the petition, a Form I-797 will be issued to the employer. This shows the date that the employer can hire the worker as well as when the job contract should end. The employer must adhere to the time recorded in this form, otherwise his future applications for employment of a foreign worker will be rejected. Now, let's talk about the steps that the foreign worker must take. Once the employer has received the necessary approvals, the worker can begin the visa application process. Workers must collect, number 1, DS-160 online application form and its confirmation page. Number 2, Form DS-156. Number 3, men between 16 and 45 must submit the Form DS-157. Number 4, 190 as H2B visa cost or fee. Number 5, a valid passport. Number 6, a photo. Number 7, copies of Forms I-79-7 and I-12-9 indicating USCIS approval. Number 8, evidence that he or she does not intend to remain permanently in the US. Participating in an interview is a part of the pre-visa process. At the embassy, the consular officer conducts the interview and evaluates the applicant for this visa. If the visa is approved, the applicant may apply for the visa stamping. According to the date stated in the form I-797, the worker is allowed to enter the US. How long is the US H2B visa valid? And can you extend it? You can stay in the United States up to the period authorized on the temporary labor certification. You can also increase your visa validity for another year. The maximum period you can stay in the US under this visa is 3 years. In other words, you can extend this visa twice. After this period, you must stay outside of the US for at least 3 consecutive months and then reapply. Can you bring your family members to the US? Your spouse and unmarried children can come to the US by getting an H4 visa, and they can stay as long as you have a valid H2B status. H4 visa holders can work except in some cases, but they are allowed to enroll in academic courses. To work, they must obtain a separate work visa. Can you change the H2B visa to green cards or another visa? You can change your visa status. If you find a new job, the new employer can file a petition to USCIS. If you find a job that requires a visa other than H2B, you can still apply to change your visa type through a new employer. You can also apply for a green card. What are the reasons for rejecting the H2B visa applications? Let's see. Number 1, if the employer fails to prove that he or she has tried to hire a US worker, his or her application will be rejected. Number 2, if the employer does not present the necessary documents within the specified time frame. Number 3, if the employment of a foreign worker by the employer harms the working conditions, wages, and benefits of working in the US. Number 4, if the employer has violated the terms of previous H2B certifications over the last 2 years. Okay, that's it. Well, there you go. Now you can start your application and get that sweet H2B visa. If the steps were so confusing, don't worry. I've put a cheat sheet on our website. Go ahead and download it. Link is in the description. Don't forget to like the video and subscribe to our channel. It will help YouTube's algorithm. You can also follow our social media accounts. Links are in the description. If you have any type of visa that you want to know about, write the name in the comment section and we will make a video for it. Thank you all for watching.